Hey guys, my name's Ryan. I'm a former commando from the United Kingdom. Today we've got another update on Ukraine. Today's date, 1st of November, so let's get started. Let's have a full month of Ukraine updates, guys. We've just changed the channel slightly, so hopefully you enjoy all of the changes that we have made. And I just want to say thank you for stopping along, guys, and supporting me on this venture on YouTube. First things first, we're going to get into a deep state map study. Then we've got a bit of footage for you. Then we've got some news. Then we got a bit of a good news story actually at the very end of the video, so stay tuned for that, troops. But nonetheless, thanks for being here. Let's get straight into the east of Ukraine then. Bit of news coming out east of Ukraine, Kharkiv and stuff. Lots going on today, guys. Now, Russian sources continue to claim that Ukrainian troops conducted counter-offensive operations in the northeast Kharkiv Oblast region yesterday and the day before. The Russian Ministry of Defense, the MOD, and Russian military bloggers of various types claimed on October the 30th and yesterday that that the Ukrainian forces conducted a series of unsuccessful assaults around Olinka, Tabiaka, and Berestov. Now, all of these areas we're talking about are within 30 kilometers northwest or within the area of Svato. We've already spoke about how strategically valuable that is. You just have to look at that map there to see that there's a couple of main features by way of road system. Okay, those road systems, those highways are very, very important for resupply, logistical support, and defensively speaking, it's a good area to occupy if you were an aggressor or a defender. All right, you want to get this place and dig deep in there. So quite a lot going on in that area. Now, the Russian Ministry of Defense also claimed that Russian troops repelled Ukrainian attacks northwest of Svato in the Kupiansk area on October 31st. So, again, there's fighting taking place. We've noticed that there's a bit of a struggle for Ukraine to take Svato in the first place. There's a number of reasons for that, okay, guys? We're talking about the grain of the land, the terrain, the time of year it is and everything else. And obviously, Russian soldiers are heavily entrenched into their positions now, and artillery fire was stopping the advance a few weeks ago. So it's proven quite a difficult area to take, troops, okay? A Russian military blogger reported that Ukrainian troops are preparing for another offensive in that direction on the Olenka line. Now, the Ukrainian General Staff notably stated that Russian troops attacked Mykolaiivka and Novoshlivki, both about 30 kilometers northwest of Svato. In indicating that Ukrainian troops have advanced east of the Kupiansk area. So they are advancing, they are making progress. It might not be as quick as the original counteroffensive we saw a few months ago, but they're making advances into that area nonetheless. I do think Svato is heavily on the agenda, guys, okay? So, it's just a matter of time, in my humble opinion, that place will be taken. Now, let me get my pen out the way. Russian sources also claim that Ukrainian troops continued counteroffensive operations along that line, but the geolocated footage posted on October 30th showed the aftermath of an explosion of a bridge across the Krasny River in Kherson. Terrible pronunciation, I apologize. 15 kilometers north of Kremenina suggests that Russian forces may be conducting deliberate withdrawal from settlements north of Kremenina in anticipation of Ukrainian advances. We have seen them do that before. They're anticipating that they might actually be overrun in certain areas, so they're just thinking, well, what's the point of us trying to withhold this position, especially if we're going to be taken over anyway. So let's try and preserve our troops is the thought pattern, in my honest opinion, of what they're potentially thinking there. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Now, deliberate withdrawals, we have seen that this is happening, especially from settlements north of Kremenina. Russian military bloggers additionally claimed that Ukrainian troops attacked certain settlements 5 kilometers northwest of Kremenina, so they are encroaching on that area, and it's taking a bit of pace. Yesterday, the day before, the Ukrainian General Staff noted that the Russian troops shelled Ploshanka, which is 15 kilometers northwest of Kremenina, indicating that Ukrainian troops are continuing to advance towards the R66 Svato-Kremenina highway north of Kremenina. It's These highways, guys, these main road systems, really, really important. We don't need to get into that to understand why they're important to take. It's annotated differently on here, but I believe it's this road or this road here. Main highways, guys, which is good for Ukraine. Russian military bloggers continue to claim that Russian troops, including elements of the BARS 13 Combat Reserve, are holding the defense of Crimea and pushing Ukrainian troops from the front line. Reserve troops doing that, I'm not too sure how to handle that bit of information. I have to take them for their word. It's out there, but I don't think the reserve troops would be doing that to such effect anyway that they would be able to keep these guys out of there. I think it's only a matter of time that Ukraine is going to push forward and be able to take these guys anywhere. That's the bit that comes unstuck with me, is the fact that they were reserve troops. We've seen that the reservist troops haven't really got that much of a spine when it comes to fighting the good fight, so to speak, guys. If you know what I mean by that. But it's interesting what's going on in the east, troops. Let's have a look. Before we go into the south, actually, I want to show you a bit of footage of what's actually, one isolated incident that's happening in Kherson Oblast. And this might be a bit of a telling story for what's going to happen in the next few days, all right? This is quite an interesting bit of footage here. It's titled "Russian Soldiers Crash in a Foiled Retreat from Kherson." So, let's have a look.
Нормально, братан, все? Нормально? Я не слышу! Брат, я не слышу, у меня контузия. Да, понял. Блядь! Ёбай нахуй, блядь! Ехать,
So very quickly, as you can see, there's seems to be a lot of confusion of what the hell they're doing. They've crashed. I'm not surmising or saying that this is the case, but we know that the Russians are not bothered if they drink or take intoxicants while they're fighting. We know that the Russian Ministry of Defense have been issuing these guys drugs in the forms of opiates to calm their nerves because they've been used as cannon fodder. But they've crashed. They don't know what to do. They don't really seem to have a bit of a backup plan. Every good force has a backup plan or has a plan in the event of a crash, something like this anyway. So it's interesting to see how they react just to a crash, never mind enemy fire. Okay, so that's the point in which they crashed their vehicle. Seemed a bit confused before they started and got the hell out of there, and then crashed their vehicle in the confusion. This is a straight road. They panic, you do stupid things when you panic anyway at the best of times, but it just goes to show, guys, that things aren't looking too good, or at least the footage doesn't show that they're looking too good in that front. So, that's interesting. Make of that as you wish, troops. But let's get into southern Ukraine. It's a while since we spoke on southern Ukraine, troops, specifically Kherson Oblast. So we'll go to this region here. So what's happening in southern Ukraine? Russian forces continued defensive operations in the oblast on October 30th and 31st, so yesterday, the day before. Ukrainian military sources reported that Russian troops are conducting remote mining of areas near Kherson Oblast front line, evacuating military assets to the east bank of Dnipro River and reforming units, lightly adding newly mobilized reservists to reconstitute shell units. We've seen that they've been struggling for numbers, so this is a time that they can obviously get those reserve units integrated into their military capabilities. Now, Russian sources additionally claimed on October 31st that Russian troops are engineering positions northwest of Kherson city and preparing for defensive operations there. So I can only surmise that they're talking about this area here. We've got unknown status for this area and we've got liberated there. So, probably makes a bit of sense for them to be talking about this area in particular. Russian sources claimed Ukrainian troops continued counteroffensive operations in Kherson Oblast. And the Russian sources reported that Ukrainian forces attempted to break through Russian lines in Berslav Rayon. I think I've pronounced that correctly, troops. The area where Russian lines are currently stretched the furthest on October 31st, that was mentioned. So Russian sources reported the elements of the Russian Eastern Military District, Special Forces and Airborne Forces repelled Ukrainian attacks near Dadyev Brid on October 30th. The Russian Ministry of Defense also claimed on the 31st, so yesterday, the Ukrainian troops attacked Russian troops along the current front line northwest of Berchlav. Ukrainian General Staff reported on October 31st that Russian forces shelled near previously Russian-claimed territory Ternovy Pori, Mykolaiv Oblast, 20 kilometers northwest of Konbaikli on October 31st, indicating a possible Ukrainian advance. There was a video posted allegedly 2 days ago, reportedly showing Ukrainian forces clearing Russian mines in an unspecified area, indicating ongoing Ukrainian efforts to advance into Russian-held territory. So this whole area, guys, there's certain areas within this district, within this oblast, where they're actually the Russians are mining the areas to hinder the advances. Basically, I'm not too sure how effective that's been, but there is footage showing that Ukraine is trying to clear these areas. It certainly will slow them up significantly within their advance. But there's other footage stating that, Russia are getting the hell out of there and evacuating the areas east of the Dnipro River and getting out of Kherson, basically. So it's a fight that'll probably run into the new year, that's for sure. But they're hindering the progress of the Ukrainians via different methods now in the hope that they can get the hell out there in an effective manner and preserve their military. So if we look at this area, they say there's a lot of rumors coming out that President Putin is trying to come up with a deal with regards to the grain that Ukraine has, and basically is trying to get their troops out via this sea here. And allowing safe passage, and then he'll obviously try and scratch Ukraine's back as well in a positive way. It's got something to do with the grain. We'll probably get into that in a different video, troops. Anyway, we digress. The Ukrainian interdiction campaign is reportedly damaging Russian forces exfiltrating across the Dnipro River. Ukraine's Southern Operation Command reported yesterday that Ukraine fires destroyed 2 barges the Russian forces used to transport Russian forces from the west, from the west bank to the east, basically, near the Antovsky Bridge, and at an unspecified time last week. Ukraine's Southern Operation Command additionally reported that Ukraine forces conducted 156 fire missions on 30th of October and struck 2 Russian ammunition warehouses in Beshlav and Bashanta. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed that Russian forces intercepted 6 Ukrainian AGM-88 HARM anti-radar missiles near the Antonivka on October 30th. So there's lots going on down here, guys. We've seen in the news as well a few other things happening. So before we get into our final little bit of the update, we're going to go through a few news articles which I think are really pertinent. There's a bit of positive. There's a video I come across on Twitter, and I think it's quite good. It's linked to Finland, so if you Finnish, you're going to enjoy this one, troops. But a little bit of positive news, this one. So it's basically tagged, hey, this is Finland, rate this trench sauna from a range of 1 to 10. So Ukrainian soldiers have built a bloody sauna in a trench, and if you know anything about Finland, they love a sauna, guys. All right, let's have a look at this.
Тут будемо топити воду гріти. Тут же у нас Макарович топку змурував, яку ми вчора з Вадимом зварили. Поставили такий придбанник. І саме головне.
That's awesome, man. Look at that.
Все. Вже точно ніякий гриб не візьме.
Wow, that's kitted out. So it doesn't matter even if you are in a war zone, you can still effectively have fun, if you want to call it fun, but that'll be tremendous for the morale of the guys there. Now, final bit of news I wanted to get into. Ukrainian war latest. Russia proxies intensified deportation campaign in Kherson Oblast. This is a subject that I think's quite terrible, to be honest with you. Russian installed proxies turned on up their deportations of local residents in the occupied parts of Kherson Oblast today, amid Ukraine's continuing attempts to retake the city. Now, leadership of Russia's occupation in Kherson ordered up to 70,000 residents within a 15-kilometre zone east of the Dnipro River to be resettled deeper into the largely occupied region. Earlier, the forced relocation campaign only targeted the population of the west bank of the river. Tens of thousands of residents, including the city of Kherson, were ordered to relocate east of the river. This is absolutely horrendous, troops. This marks the first time Moscow has attempted to depopulate occupied territory located in the east bank of the Dnipro River, opposite from Kherson, a regional capital that remains Ukraine's ultimate target in the southern counteroffensive. The change comes the day after Ukraine's chief military intelligence officer Krylo Budnov said that Ukraine would retake Kherson in November. So he thinks it's actually going to take place in November, this whole retake of the area. I think it's probably going to, go into the new year. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but that's what my senses are telling me. Going to see a few more months on this yet. Ukraine said the relocation of residents in the country's occupied south amounted to forced deportation. That constitutes a war crime. We spoke about this before. It does. This guy with a strange name, the first deputy head of Kherson Oblast Council, condemned Moscow for escalating the scale of the deportation program in the south, adding that the fears of destruction push occupied to take crazy steps. Concentration of war crimes is simply sky high, he said. Russian installed proxies in Kherson City that were claimed were threats from a possible Ukrainian strike of the Moscow-held Kakhovka Dam that could end up flooding the area. Again, a horrendous potential war crime if that were to happen. This follows the Russian propaganda campaign that accused Kiev of preparing an attack on a major hydroelectric power station dam in Kakhovka upstream from Kherson. They were trying to put the onus on, saying that Ukraine was preparing for a weapons of mass destruction, false flag attack, so to speak, to get to basically try and de-escalate NATO's involvement is what Russia was intending to do through that. But it's a complete smear propaganda campaign. Terrible, really. Now, the accusation has been dismissed by both Ukraine and its Western allies, but raised concerns that Russia was preparing a false flag attack on the dam. President Zelensky has accused Russia of mining the Kakhovka Dam with the intention to blow it up. Again, fake news, guys. Fake news everywhere. But that's it, troops. If you like my take on today's video, got any advice on how you would like to see future videos, drop a comment below for the algorithm. It really does help me out. And yeah, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new here. And if you've been here a while, guys, thank you for the support. We're on Patreon. It's the best way to support me, alongside joining the YouTube members program. Just press join or click all the links in the description, guys. We need all the help we can get on here. Okay, so wherever you are in the world, thank you for helping a veteran Royal Marines commando out by watching these videos. And yeah, hopefully we can start getting some good views on these things. But wherever you are in the world, have a peaceful day, or at least as peaceful as you possibly can. Take it easy.